Hello, welcome back to Energy Risk Engineering, YouTube's hottest engineering channel. I think you're going to love this presentation. I know I had a great time putting it together. It's going to help us understand risk a little bit better. Then we can talk about risk management. But let's go ahead and get into it. What risk management is not it's not code compliance, guys. Okay, I had a question in the comments that related to a comment that I made in the previous video. And again, as risk engineers, we're going to run into situations where there's laws and codes that dictate what we do. And then the laws and codes are going to stop short because remember, they're not there to protect your profits. So risk engineering is where we have to kind of pick up where the codes and standards stop. So with that, we're going to explore what risk means to each of us, right? And I'm going to help you guys see that it's subjective, depends on who's looking at it. As we look internally and ask ourselves, what will we choose to do when faced with alternatives? At the end of this, the second part of this series or this lecture, we'll have a really good exercise for you to find out for yourself what you think about risk. Let's go beyond the definitions. We're going to figure out our own unknown appetite for risk, okay? Y'all ready for this? Let's get it done. Thanks. All right. So when we start talking about risk, and I'm going to make a point a few times here that it's subjective and that the subjective nature of risk, basically, let's start with control. If you have control over something, you feel like the risk is okay or it's more acceptable. Take, for instance, driving to the airport. We know that driving in busy city traffic can be way more dangerous than flying on an airplane. However, our fear reaction kicks on when we get on the airplane, not while we're driving to the airport. The other thing, if we have no control, such as if a chemical manufacturing facility is built next to our house, that's something that we feel like we have no control over, but walking on busy city streets doesn't seem to bother us. We're okay. We can even ignore what's going on around us. We're good at multitasking when we have control, okay? Sometimes you get a little bit experienced depending on where you live in handling emergencies, right? Some risks have bad reputations. The media is good at serving up bad news because they can sell commercials, and that's what they're here for, is to sell commercials. They're not here to make anybody smarter or to teach you anything or to even to give you the news. They're here to sell commercials. So some of the things that have bad reputations, just consider cyanide and hydrogen sulfide, right? Both of them can kill you, but if you were to ask, somebody on the street about the two chemicals, cyanide would pop in their mind as something that was really bad. Nuclear power has been demonized by the media since it began. The media, the last thing the media needs is abundant, clean energy. So they push against anything that works. They're even against wind as soon as it becomes successful. They're going to be against solar when it's successful. They'll be against flow batteries when they're successful. It's just the nature of the media. That's how they control people. So nuclear power has a bad reputation. LNG can have a reputation, right? Just depending on where you are, if there's been any history in your local area with LNG facilities. So LNG itself can just bring along with it a poor reputation. Who is affected, whether it only affects the people at the plant or whether it can get off-site. Those types of risks can be viewed differently by the people who work there and the people who live outside the plant, right? Whether it's children versus adults. It's human nature to feel for those who can't care for themselves. And with children, we have a soft spot. So risk is subjective, right? We're going to look at these things differently depending on who we are and what our circumstances are. What's in it for me? Okay, is there a personal return? Will I get anything out of this? Or the other way of looking at it is not my backyard. I don't care what's coming. I don't want it in my backyard. So that's another effect of the subjective nature of risk. They don't even care to know what it is, and they're against it. Some folks are okay if it's natural, but not if it's man-made. And either one can kill you. So, we need to be prepared for natural disasters as well. Accident history. We're less tolerant of facilities that already have a bad history, okay? And industries that have had bad accidents. Just those accidents within the industry are going to come along and paint our risk. So we need to make sure that we don't have those same kind of accidents, that we distinguish ourselves from those facilities that have taught those lessons in the past. Trust. The chemical industry versus doctors and hospitals. It just depends on where you are in your journey of life, and if you've ever had to tangle with any doctors and hospitals, especially when the insurance companies get involved. I think I would trust the chemical industry way over the medical industry. But I'm not typical, so a lot of folks out there are going to, but the point is that you're going to use something about the industry, right, to drive whether you trust them or not. The number of people affected, for one reason or another, it seems like, if we have a few people die every weekend until we get up to 250 from car accidents, that doesn't get on anybody's radar screen as much as if we had an airplane crash with 250 people right away, killing them all at once. So the number of people affected can drive whether we consider it a big risk or a small risk. Alrighty. So I took this picture, okay? It's not stock art, it's real. It happened just like that. And give you a little clarification. He did not jump over the power lines. And for all you new guys coming into power generation, those lines are not insulated. They're bare wires, okay? So it's a good thing he wasn't trying to jump over it. But even just doing a jump on a motorcycle and really losing all touch with that motorcycle except for one hand, that's more risk than I would want to take. But this young man, he did it, and he did it great, okay? So we all have our own views of risk. That's why I call it subjective. Now we're going to dive into what do we think personally? How do we know what we think about risk? And we're going to go through a series of exercises called What Would You Choose? But I don't want to make sure everybody's with us. And hey, Cassie, how's it going?
I could be here all day.
Cassie, all right. I'm glad you're going to be here. So we're going to do the What Would You Choose? I'm going to give you a series of alternatives. And in this case, you can see they both have a value proposition of $5. Okay, they're both equal value propositions. The one on the left is a coin flip, and you get $10 if you win the flip, if it's heads, and you get nothing if it's tails. Or you could go ahead and take the $5, okay? So those are your alternatives, and you'll see that, for someone that $5 doesn't mean that much to, they may be willing to go ahead and take the coin flip on the 10. They feel like the 5 was free, the 10 might be, it might be their lucky day. They're not worried about walking away with zero, okay? The person who is worried about walking away with zero would take the guaranteed $5. I want to get my $5. Okay, now, what if we change it up a little bit? What if we make it heads you win 100, tails you lose 75? Or you get nothing and you lose nothing, okay? So some people would just immediately go over to the you get nothing and you lose nothing because they think they don't want to lose the $75. But if you look at the value proposition of the coin flip, it's got a $12.50 positive value. If you were in a casino and you were given coin flips to win 100 and only lose 75, you'd do them all night long, okay? So when people think that they have a certain tolerance for risk, it sort of goes out the window when they say, I'm only going to lose $100, and that's the most that I'll lose in the casino tonight, and I'm okay with that. So you see, they sort of switch from going from I don't want to lose anything to I'm okay with only losing a certain amount. Now, if it's only $75 and $100, that's not going to get a lot of people's attention, right? But I think everybody that's watching my videos are going to look at this a little differently when we put some zeros on the end of it. Heads, you win $1 million. Tails, you lose $750,000. Or you get zero. What are you going to take? Which choice is yours? Well, I don't have $750,000 to lose, so I can't take the coin flip, right? You have to be in a position to pay before you take the flip. So I have to take the zero, right? So that value proposition of $125,000, all right? That left coin flip is a positive value I have to pass because I can't cover the losses, okay? Now, what if we do a little bit differently? I'm going to give you some different value propositions. The one on the left's only $1.5 million. The one on the right's $4 million, right? It's almost 3 times the value. Well, the one on the left, the coin flip is heads you win $2 million, tails you win $1 million. Notice that? Both cases you win something. Or you could take a coin flip and heads is going to give you $8 million, tails is going to give you nothing. Okay? So you're not going to lose either way. The question is, do you want the guaranteed $1 million for the worst possible outcome, or do you want the chance for the $8 million? Now, that's going to boil back down to, what is your personal situation? But if you can stand to walk away with 0, you might take your $8 million and go. If you've never had $1 million in your life, you're probably not going to take that coin flip. You're probably going to say, I'll take the tails you win the million. Okay? Now, let's keep going with this. Let's say that we've got a really special coin and that our coin doesn't just have 2 sides. Our coin's got a side that can win and that it's got a whole bunch of sides that can lose. And we'll just call those P number of sides that can lose. So heads, you win $0. Tails, which is basically the probability of you having $100 million loss. Okay? It's going to happen. Is it 1 in 100? Is it 1 in 1,000? Is it 1 in a million? It's a probability. Okay? Now, we can remove all of that risk of having the tails come up, because remember, heads you win 0. Tails you lose $100 million. Okay? Times some probability. Or you could pay $10,000 out the door. It's gone. You've lost it. But you know what? You don't have a chance of losing the $100 million anymore. Okay, so this is where we've come full circle to what insurance is. Okay, so risk engineering can help you understand why we do insurance. But bottom line is when we look at insurance, we're looking at these probabilities of the negative outcomes. All in all, we're going to pay something so that we can't have the worst thing that could happen to us. And that's why we go through insurance. So we have to balance our risk management strategies. We can't just buy all the insurance that's available, and we can't ignore insurance. And if you don't prepare for the losses, then the cost of insurance is going to run away from you anyway. So basically, we buy insurance because it's the sure thing. And when I say the sure thing, what it means is that you're going to lose the premium. It's out the door. You're going to lose the deductible, but you're not going to have the $100 million loss. Okay, so that's why it's the sure thing. It limits your downside. Now we spend money on risk engineering because it's even more effective than insurance. And I've gone through this before, and we'll talk about the values of managing risk with insurance versus engineering. But bottom line is that, with engineering, you put in a sprinkler system once and it controls fires for 30 years. You buy an insurance policy, at the end of the year, it's expired. Okay, so you have to keep paying for that. So physical risk engineering is more effective. That's why we do it. We comply with codes because it's a start. We don't do it because it's the best thing. We do it because we have to, but it's also a place to get us going to where we're now going to look and see, where did it leave off? What risks are still on the table that are not addressed by the codes and standards? With that, thank y'all. Thanks for coming. Please leave comments. I like doing the videos. I like doing the replying to the comments, and look forward to the next one. Thank y'all very much.